Hello, my name is Salima Hakeem, and welcome to this episode of Salima Speaks. Today on my show, I have Christopher Parker, a 42-year-old black man that's very controversial, and I asked him a lot of questions about himself and his lives, and you'll see the interview. Very interesting. Hi, Christopher. How are you?
Hey, Salima. How are you today?
I'm great.
Good.
I'd like to start off asking you about your educational background.
Okay. Well, I'm a high school graduate, and I actually attended college and graduated from there. But to be totally honest with you, I think I used my high school educational equivalency more so than I used my degrees from college.
So you do have a degree?
Yes, ma'am.
In what?
Criminal justice pre-law.
Oh, okay. Are you using that for anything?
No,
now?
not at all.
Really?
Nope.
So you have a degree, but you're not using it?
No. To be totally honest with you, if I had to do it all over again, I would have took the same money and invested it in a business back then with the same high school education.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of work do you do?
Right now, nothing.
Really?
Nothing at all.
Okay, why?
Well, a lot of it has to do with my political preferences, and a lot of it has to do with my belief system.
Which is?
Which is, right now, I just choose not to participate in this system. It's a dead system.
But you have to support yourself and your children.
And I do.
Okay.
I just don't put myself in a realm of being taxed.
Okay, so you just do other things.
Of course, I think we all should.
Do you want to talk about that, or is that?
Well, it depends. You know how it is in America. It's a freedom of speech. But you got to watch what you say. But you know, there are areas that we can cover without, quote unquote, having to go into the realm of our Fifth Amendment rights. Okay.
Are you in a relationship now?
I think my relationship status would be complicated right now. I think if I had to label it as anything, I would label it as being complicated.
It's being complicated?
Mm-hmm.
When you do date, or what kind of woman do you look for?
Well,
for a woman?
My choice right now, preferably, I prefer to date exclusively black women, but at one time in my life that wasn't always my choice. But right now, exclusively, a black woman is top on my priority.
Have you ever dated a white woman before?
Sure, I was actually married to a white woman for quite a number of years.
For how long?
Roughly about 15 years.
Oh, so what happened there?
I just think difference in opinion, difference in culture and educational backgrounds, and when it comes to rearing of children especially, I think that was one of the final things that sent us into different directions.
So now you exclusively date black women?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so you don't want to date white women anymore after being married to one?
Well, I wouldn't say that I would, I totally just, I'm dead set against it, but I'm just saying right now, my preference is to deal with a more culturally based woman that's congruent to where I'm from.
Okay. Do you have children by your wife?
Yeah, we have 2 children.
And how is that?
I think it's, right now we both have joint custody, and it's kind of hard right now because we've just been, I guess, recently divorced. I guess 4 years can be considered recent. So there are some avenues that we are congenial on, but then again, there's some avenues that we don't cross bridges on. But all in all, I think when it comes to the children, I think we're on the same page.
Now, when you were married to the white woman for 15 years, did you date anyone else? Did you date black women? Yeah,
I think when I actually got married and was in a relationship with my ex, I found myself feeling trapped in a lot of cases because I wanted to. I did not love her. I just was becoming more aware of who I was as a black man.
Really?
And there was no way that she could possibly fulfill the things that I needed as a black man because, you know, I needed a black woman.
Wow.
So in a lot of cases, a lot of times I found myself in denial, befriending black women to try to have some level of relationship with them. And that worked for a while. Being platonic, of course, but then when you find that connection with a woman, I found myself wanting more, and therefore I started cheating and becoming dishonest and doing some of the things that I just would not normally do.
Did your wife know that you were dating other women, or that you were seeing other women?
She knew. One thing I can honestly say about my relationship with my ex is that we met as friends. And the best thing about my marriage with my wife is that since we met as friends, we divorced as friends. So it was nothing that went on in my life that I held her out on.
But I mean, when you were seeing black women, she understood that, your need to see black women?
Well, I think she did in some capacity.
And she accepted that?
Well, I wouldn't even say that she accepted. I think she kind of dealt with it the way that she could.
She understood it.
I think she understood it, it happened many a time. She would always ask me, why am I with her? And true enough, I was with her because I loved her, so I thought. And I guess I still do in a lot of cases, but I think what actually happened is that I actually misconstrued trust with love, because I trusted her.
Because if you love a woman, would you cheat on a woman that you love?
Well, I think people cheat every day, whether it's through avenues of sex or whether it's through avenues of seeking different camaraderie with other partners. There's always something that's missing in a relationship.
Okay.
My relationship, by her not being of color and by her not being connected to me culturally, you know what I mean, especially the more conscious I became of who I was as a human being, was paramount. I mean, there was nothing she could do, and it wasn't her fault. It wasn't that I liked somebody more than I liked her. It wasn't, oh, I'm dating her because she's white, and then I'm dating this one because they're black. It wasn't any of those things. It was just the difference in culture that I was missing out on. And once I got that whim of being connected back to my culture, it was monumental.
So now you say that you mostly date black women.
That's correct.
So now why do you think you mostly date black women now?
Well, I think I mostly date within my race now is because I'm more aware of who I am as a black man. Now that doesn't mean that my last relationship with a white woman was so tumultuous or so bad that I'm dead set against it. I just think that I'm more aware of who I am. So I don't need to make myself valid.
Wow.
By dating, outside of my race. I think a lot of us, especially at that time, and I can't really say that I did this exclusively. I don't think I did that on purpose or anything like that. I just think that hindsight being 2020, there was a lot of things about me that I just simply didn't like about myself.
So you feel more connected with black women?
Well, I feel, I got 8 sisters. So, of course I feel more connected with black women. But at certain parts of my life, especially when I was dating interracially, I didn't have that connection. I didn't have it at all.
So now you're older and you feel better about yourself.
Well, older, maybe a little wiser, maybe a little more aware of where I stand at in the world's perspective, if you will. And that's not to say that some of my best friends aren't white. You understand what I mean?
Exactly.
That's basically to say that I'm just more connected to who I am. I have tons of friends that are still involved in interracial relationships, and those relationships are positive. I'm just speaking from my perspective. I need to be with a black woman because I love black women. A black woman is gonna know more about things that I need inherently. You understand? Because she comes from my culture.
Right.
You understand what I mean? Now that doesn't mean that there are some things about black women that I don't like. You understand?
Well, tell me about that. What are some of the good things about black women that you don't like?
Well, I think, and this is no fault of theirs or anyone's. I think with the way that the world has changed in the last 10 years, let alone the last 50 or so odd years or whatever, I think education or miseducation has played a huge part in how we, not just women, but men as well in our black community, treat each other. Okay. And I think when it comes to general camaraderie of treatment, if you have negative connotations with the way you treat each other from a platonic level, it can't do anything but get worse the more intimate it becomes.
So you think that black women don't know how to treat a black man?
No, I'm not saying that. I think, let me say this. I think there are tons of black women out there that are educated. There are tons of black women out there that take care of themselves, that are community oriented, and just as well as black men with those same levels of criteria. I just think that something's missing when it comes to our connection.
Do you think that black women respect the black man?
Well, on a whole, I think, especially a black woman that was raised by a black man or by her father, I think the majority of people that you'll do this consensus on that don't have a high level of respect for black men, those black women weren't raised by black men. You understand?
Yes.
Now, it's easy for a black woman who was raised by a black man to go into a positive relationship.
Exactly.
And it was easy for a black woman that was raised by a black man to go into a relationship knowing that there's going to be ups and downs, and knowing what it takes to make those ups and downs and those hills and valleys go away.
Would you say that a white woman has more respect for a black man?
Well, I think white women in the realms of relationship, especially the ones that were raised by their fathers. You understand? It's not a black-white issue when it comes to this.
So you think that if a white woman was raised by her father and a black woman was raised by her father, they would still have the same level of respect for a black man? Or
I think they would have the same level of respect for their man in their relationship. I don't think I don't think the controversy, of course, within that realm has anything to do with color. I think it has to do with the way that people are being raised in our communities.
Okay, are you in a relationship now?
Well, like I said, my Facebook status says it's complicated, so I'm going to stick with that.
Are you looking for a relationship?
I think I found somewhat of a relationship that I'm in right now, and being in my 40s, dating has become such a different genre of being in our society right now. I think right now dating is a culmination of being cool, a culmination of being smart, a culmination of how much money you make. Right now, where I am within the realm of all those things is I'm just trying to figure out who I am. My process right now is reinventing and rebuilding myself.
So your main thing now is not finding a relationship or finding a woman, but rebuilding yourself.
Sure. I think in all reality, I think there are tons of people. I found this out from a friend of mine that dates online. I was reading his profile, and I started getting into the online dating thing when I was single and, recently divorced, and I started getting out there and I was reading all these profiles, black, white, Chinese, all kinds of women. And there's tons of people out there that can tell you exactly what they want in a man. They want him to be this tall, this short, this what, you want to be able to run this fast, how much money he needs to make, what kind of car he's got, whatever. But what I found disturbing through all of that stuff is that not once, not out of the thousands of profiles I've read, and trust me, I've read thousands of profiles, not one of those people were talking about what they can be in return for all that stuff that they were asking.
So what do you expect in return? Well,
that's the biggest part of the thing there. There's actually no expectations. I mean, I don't get into the realm of expecting anything. I mean, and to be totally honest with you, I think that's the gist of the entire problem. I think people go into certain relationships, whether they be platonic, intimate, or whatever, expecting something. And you shouldn't really expect anything out of anybody, especially if you're not even half of those things in return. I think most people should just do a test on yourself. You understand? Get in the mirror one day, like the Michael Jackson song say way back in the days, The Man in the Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself in the mirror and ask yourself a series of questions about yourself. And if you don't like some of those things you're saying about that you come up with about yourself, how do you think someone else is going to be able to accept them or like them?
So is it wrong for a woman to know what she wants in a man? She wants a good man. She wants a man with a job. She wants a man probably with a car, with a house, and things like that. What is wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. I think in the grand scheme of the dynamics of what you're asking, it's most of those things are just clearly unattainable. They really are. I think, yeah, you can find some cats out there with a job. Yeah, you can find some black men out there that have their education. But
a lot of them.
Sure, without question, without question. And I'm one of those people. You understand? Well, not the job part, because that's my choice.
Right.
You understand what I mean? But realistically speaking, that shouldn't be the criteria for the general things that everybody's looking for, which is love.
So if you look for a woman, you don't look for a woman that has a job, that has an education, that has a house. You don't look for all that in a woman.
No.
What do you look for in a woman?
I look for a person to be just like when it comes to intimacy. I look for the same things in intimacy that I look for in platonicness.
Okay, which is?
I look for people to be genuine. I look for people to be aware of who they are and where they're going. And I look for people that are genuinely interested in taking care of themselves physically.
Are you looking for a woman to take care of you?
No, not at all.